More rain on the way. Williams eyes a big weekend in their 800th F1 Grand Prix, and Brad Pitt gives Prince Andrew something to finally sweat about. This is Into the Chicane, a Formula One podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Channing Apodaca. The man across the computer screen is Brandon Wood.
Yo.
What is up, my friend?
Nothing much. Just trying to put the baby back to sleep.
Yep, we got a new first-time guest here. We got Oliver Wood joining the show today. How are you, Oliver?
He's good.
Okay.
He just got his little bottle, so he's just he's content.
How are your nipples after pumping?
Chafed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So we have a big one coming up this weekend. British Grand Prix weekend. How are you feeling about it?
I'm excited. Did you catch any of practice so far?
I caught the highlights of it. I didn't wake up in time to watch live, and I didn't have time to watch actually like the full replay of it.
Yeah. You know, it's a big weekend, home race for a lot of teams based here in the UK. So
here?
Well, in UK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. A lot of teams are either British or based there. I think most teams are actually based out of, Great Britain or like the Milton Keynes area. And a lot of drivers, there's like a handful of drivers who are actually British drivers. So big weekend for a lot of people. I think this is like one of the, probably the biggest star on the calendar, right? Wouldn't you say, Silverstone?
Yeah, very legendary track. Seen a lot of great races here. Hoping to see more of the same. I think after practice, we're seeing a big mix-up with some of the teams, so I'm excited for it.
What do you mean by mix-up? What are you seeing?
We're seeing the Williams.
Yep.
Showing up, getting their new upgrades fully on fire, and surprising a lot of people. I'm not that surprised. We've kind of been seeing their slow rise, especially with Alex. Alex's pace has been really good. He's been able to hold off.
The upward progression of Williams, I would say the last 3 or 4 races, probably closer to 3, like going back to maybe Spain, but definitely Canada. Definitely Austria. Alex looked great. And then coming into this weekend, they look phenomenal. They had a P3 and a P5 coming out of FP2. So a lot to expect from them. And they're debuting their 800th Grand Prix livery one race early because the Monza didn't happen. So this is actually their 799th Grand Prix, but they had it marked on the calendar. Same thing that same thing that Red Bull did a couple years ago with their Japanese livery. You have it dated. It's set in stone. They're going to debut it. A lot to expect from them. I think McLaren's going to be eyeing a better weekend than they showed in practice. You can bet your fucking ass that Lewis Hamilton and George Russell are going to want to show up and show out at Silverstone. This is Lewis's.
They did not look great in practice.
No. In FP2, they didn't, neither one of them topped the top 10.
I was looking at some of the analysis afterwards, and there's some suspicion that they were working with a reduced engine mode. I don't know how real that is and how
for what though?
Exactly. It's like, what would they get out of running a lesser engine mode? I'm not sure exactly. They have a new front wing this weekend, so they might just be figuring out more of the setup with that. So that could be a reason why they're not, fully putting the car to its potential. But I would think that, you might want to get some quality runs in at least and see how the car is going to work at your full pace. But maybe they're saving that for the third practice. I don't know.
I don't buy any of that at all. I mean, maybe they'll have a better showing in FP3, but FP2 is the one where you want to dial in your engine modes. So for them to go at a lower pace intentionally in FP2, that sounds like a bunch of bullshit excuses. What else are you looking to expect from the weekend, whether it be team-wise, driver-wise? Is there something that you think you're going to see? Could it be weather? We know that we're going to see rain, or we might see rain. What do you think the odds are?
I mean, just from the forecast, it looked like there's supposed to be rain. I feel like we'll probably get a little bit. How much it will affect racing, I don't know. I don't think it will come into play that much.
Mm-hmm.
It may trigger some panic in one of the either like qualifying or in the race, but I feel like it's probably not going to be that big of a deal.
Yeah, I don't.
might go with my gut there.
What does the forecast actually say? Does it say rain?
It was. I got to see what it was like earlier on in the week when I originally saw it. So I don't know how much it's changed, but
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I get the feeling it's not going to rain. So if it does come, that'll be great. If it comes, I kind of want it to come in qualies.
It says Saturday thunderstorms, precipitation starting the most of it like early at like 8 a.m. I mean, so like
yeah, it'll be dried up.
Quali, it might be subsiding by then, and then Sunday for the race it looks pretty low up until about 3 p.m. So
yeah. I was looking at the numbers coming out of FP2, and I was really hoping that Lando Norris was going to have a better British Grand Prix, but it looks like they kind of nerfed the McLaren a little bit because he was like almost 2 seconds off the pace, and I don't think he even cracked top 10 in his numbers coming out of FP2. Should be a big weekend for him and the McLaren team since they have the upgrades on that one car. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. It's a good track for Lando. I mean, it would be a hometown race for him. Get a little bump there, but yeah, I think his biggest limitation this weekend is probably going to be the car, and I'm curious if they're going to be carrying that momentum from last weekend. But you never know. Like usually they don't have things looking too great up until like right before qualifying or in the qualifying session. So I'm not going to get too worried about it. But
yeah, I mean, maybe we're starting to see like a little bit of the lore of FP2, a little bit of like what FP2 has been traditionally used for, kind of like disappearing. So maybe the Mercedes team does have something more in store for FP3, because the more you think about it, teams do have a tendency to like dial shit in just before quali.
Yeah.
Even though we're supposed to believe that FP2, and I believe it because we're supposed to, and I'm gullible. But, we're supposed to believe that FP2 is like the serious running for everything. But you do see teams really make the final tweaks and then show up in qualifying after having, 3 shit runs throughout the, start of the weekend.
Like they could be running a high fuel load, trying to get a better numbers for a race simulation, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So. Who knows?
Yeah.
I typically, before like maybe about last year, I used to never get that excited for Silverstone. I think it might be, what's the opposite of British bias? Or the opposite of bias?
Favor or,
The opposite of that. Whatever that is, that's kind of how I feel. Just because so much of F1 media gets thrown onto Silverstone because of British bias, I'm like, ugh. Lewis, back when Lewis was dominating, it would get annoying. The weekend at Silverstone, but now we've had so many good fucking races these past few years, and historically a lot of great races, but the last couple of years, especially last year, that was one of my favorite races I've seen. You have Zhou Guan Yu's huge crash, and then just like a fucking top 10 race, or top tier race.
Yeah,
so much good on track. Yeah, Carlos's first win. The battle between Lewis, Checo, and Chuck. Just fucking killer racing. So I'm excited for it. I'm more excited for this year's British Grand Prix than I think I've ever been. And a lot of good storylines coming into it, too. You have Checo still trying to get himself back into the hunt. The Aston Martins needing to make a little bit of a comeback. Lando Norris kind of on the up and up. We'll see. The fucking Williams having some of the best few races that they've had, and then the best weekend so far that they've probably had in the last 10 years. Almost 10 years. Who else is it going to be a big weekend for? The Ferraris are getting into form a little bit here. The Haas's are really coming alive. I think Alpine might have a real sneaky weekend again. So a lot of shit to look forward to.
Yeah, I feel like Alpine's could very well easily be third best team this weekend.
Absolutely. So. And always sneaky. Nobody talks about them. I sure as fuck don't. But I think that they could really pull something out. Just another solid couple practices that we saw today. But why don't we just get into our predictions real quick and make this a short one?
Okay. You
My
go first?
Yeah, do you have yours ready to go?
Almost.
Okay. My first one, and this is not just recency bias, but I think because the team is showing a lot of turnaround lately. We were just talking about it. They've had 3 good races back to back. I think Logan Sargent is going to make it into Q3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I would back that.
He finished P5 in FP2. Had a solid P1, FP1. I forget where he finished. I want to say 9th, maybe like 12th or something like that. But still, showing a lot of pace. And I think a lot of what's going to back that prediction is that the team is really going to rally this weekend. I think they're going to get their strategy on point. Alex is going to be running hot. I don't think they're going to have to worry about him as much, but I think they can double down on the willingness to get Logan into the hunt for some shit this weekend.
Yeah, honestly, I was going to say for one of mine, and I know we're going bold here, but I was going to say both Williams in the points. Double points for Williams.
You're not going to believe what I have for my second one. Williams double points.
Hey, it's possible. They got that special livery this weekend.
Yeah.
That's got to add at least 5/10 right there.
Yeah, that's going to shave some time for them 100%. Can we both do the same prediction?
Sure, why not?
Okay. A point is a point. That's my second one, Williams double points.
Okay, my second one, I think we're going to see both Mercedes outside the top 5 for the finish. I think they're going to be struggling all through qualifying. We may see them, Lewis maybe jump a few places in the race, but I think they're both going to be outside top 5.
Okay. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I want Lewis to have a better season. Like I said earlier, though, something about Lewis doing well at Silverstone is obnoxious, and I don't know why. I like Lewis. I definitely don't want George up there. My third, and this one might not be as bold, but it's kind of just following the tradition of the last few British Grand Prix. I have contact on lap 1, just open-ended. Somebody,
yeah.
Not specifically George, I wouldn't be shocked, but just contact on lap 1. But I almost went the exact opposite and said no contact on lap 1 because that's almost the bolder prediction, right? To say that nobody will touch. But I think it's almost inevitable. I think there's so much on the line for drivers and teams this weekend that people are going to be going hard. And so I think it's inevitable. Coming through, down the straightaway, into cops, all that shit. I think lap 1 is going to be, there's got to be a touch there. So that's going to be my third.
Especially if it's a little wet at the beginning,
Oh yeah.
I'm with it. So third one for me, I think Ferrari's been showing some great potential this weekend, and I think they're going to continue the trajectory of some good finishes. And I'm willing to place my last prediction on Carlos getting that final podium spot that he missed out on last weekend.
You think he's going to place P3?
Yep, and it'll be above Charles. I don't know if that has to factor into it, but I think that will be the case. I think we'll probably see Red Bull lock out 1-2, and then Carlos sitting pretty in third.
I like that. I get the feeling that somebody's going to split the Red Bulls, or that something's going to happen to one of the Red Bulls, and this isn't a prediction. My 3 are already locked, but I get the feeling that something's going to happen to one of the Red Bulls. It might be Max. It's time. Something's got to give here because they cannot run a perfect season, and I just feel like it's coming down to when we're going to see it happen, whether it be Max or Checo.
Okay, here's a question. What are the chances Checo doesn't make it into Q3 again?
I think slim.
Slim?
Yeah, unless there's rain. I think Silverstone is just such a top tier track that it's gonna put Checo in top form. There's not gonna be any sort of variables outside of the rain that is really gonna impede him. It's a big track. It's going to be wide open. The roads are very wide, so not going to be a lot of traffic during qualifying. I think he's going to have just clear runway to do his thing, get his fast lap in, unless he goes and does what he did in Austria and goes over the lines, but he's got to dial it in, and he's got to just top 10. That's all you need, Checo, is top 10. And I think he's going to come to terms with that and just get it done.
Yeah, well, we shall see. I mean, when the pressure's on, he usually does pretty great. So let's see him get back in there.
Yep, it'll be interesting. So here are our bold predictions. I have Logan Sargent making it into Q3. You have Williams in the double points. I've also got Williams in the double points. You have both Mercedes outside the top 5. I have contact on lap 1 amongst anybody on the grid. And you have Ferrari's Carlos Sainz rounding out the podium, finishing P3. How's that sound?
It sounds like I'm going to be in the lead after this race. So
I think either way, no, I would have to go 3 for 3, and you would have to only get the Williams double points for me to take the lead. We can still tie. We shall find out Sunday afternoon at the British Grand Prix. This has been the Chicane British Grand Prix preview. We will see you guys Sunday. Peace.
Cheers, mate.